Welcome to the deep dive. You send us your sources, we pull out the really interesting bits, the stuff that makes you think, without drowning you in information. Basically, your shortcut to getting informed.
And today we're taking a bit of a different approach. We're diving into some excerpts you sent from Catherynne Valente's novel, Palimpsest.
Yeah, it's fiction, which is unusual for us,
Yeah.
but our mission here isn't really literary analysis.
Not at all. We're treating these excerpts as like a sandbox for ideas. We
Mm.
want to pull out the thought-provoking stuff about time, history, identity, even the consequences of, really advanced tech, as presented in the story.
Exactly, and there's a lot packed in here. Time travel, sure, but also rewriting history, these massive timescales.
Yeah, like trillions of years.
Yeah.
And questions about who you are when maybe your memories aren't even stable.
Right. Huge potential for creation, but also destruction. It's
Yeah.
pretty epic stuff. Okay, so let's start with the big one. This organization called the Stasis,
The stasis. Yeah, as they're shown in these texts, they have this immense power. They use things called time gates
which let them travel through time.
and change it. That's the key part. They talk about unhistory timelines they've altered or like completely overwritten.
Overwritten, like writing over an old document.
Precisely. And they have this final library, which is supposed to be the record of human history.
Yeah.
But, given that they change history,
How final or accurate can it be, right?
that's the question. And the scale we're talking about, it's mind-boggling. Trillions of years. They mention multiple reseedings of
Like
humanity.
these seedings, like after extinction events, they just start humanity over.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
It's not small tweaks. It's managing the entire human story across, well, almost unimaginable time.
So why? What's the point of all this control? What are they trying to achieve?
Well, their stated goal, their rationale, is basically preserving humanity, or, a version of humanity.
Across these vast timescales.
Right. And managing resources through time. Making sure their version of civilization survives long term. It's ambitious, doesn't quite cover it.
Yeah.
Architects of time, almost.
And then there's that really jarring detail, the antinepotism measure. Recruits have to kill their own grandfather.
Yeah. I mean, talk about an entrance exam.
It's presented as a test, right?
Yeah.
For ruthlessness.
Ruthlessness, yes, but also to make them rootless, as the text says, disconnected from a personal timeline.
So they have no personal stake in the past they might be changing.
Kind of. It forces this radical break. The idea seems to be creating agents completely loyal to the stasis, not tied down by, personal history or emotions about the past.
It's disturbing, but maybe logical in a cold way for what they're trying to do. Imagine the psychological impact, though.
Absolutely. Now, thinking about humanity itself,
Mhm.
the stasis doesn't seem to have a very high opinion of us, do they?
No, not really. They see us as, what was the phrase, a terminal consumptive state.
Yeah. Basically, inherently unstable, prone to self-destruction, always using everything up.
That's their justification for stepping in so much then. We can't be trusted.
That seems to be the rationale. Unmanaged humanity is a danger to itself, to the planet, maybe even to time itself, from their perspective.
But the excerpts also show something else, don't they? Humanity keeps bouncing back.
Exactly. There's this incredible resilience mentioned. Rebuilding complex societies really fast after huge disasters. It suggests something the stasis might be. Maybe underestimating. Or even trying to suppress.
And we see all these different types of civilizations pop up over time. Hunter-gatherers, these weird panopticon empires.
And even advanced science empires with, like, total surveillance.
That bit about ubiquitous surveillance, personal life logging, what does that imply for history if everything is recorded?
Well, it could mean a hyper-documented reality, right?
Yeah.
Every moment archived. Which, for an organization like the Stasis,
Gives them even more data, more control. Not just over big events, but individual lives.
potentially. Imagine your entire life instantly becoming part of the historical record, maybe even editable by someone else. It's a chilling thought.
Okay, this seems like a good place to bring in Pierce. He's one of these stasis agent trainees.
Right, and his experience really complicates the picture of this seamless stasis control.
Yeah.
He's trying to navigate this world.
Of time travel and edited histories while dealing with his own past, which might also be edited.
Yeah, the idea palimpsests is key for him. Not just rewritten history books, but his own life. Multiple deaths, overwritten memories. It's like layers being scraped away and written over on his own consciousness.
So his identity is constantly in flux.
It seems so. And his relationships, like with Yarrow and Jerry, become incredibly complicated when you can't even trust your own memories or the timeline you share. How do you build connection on such unstable ground?
And what about those pleasure empires the stasis provides for agents? Are they genuine rewards or just another control mechanism?
Good question. They seem like escapism, maybe? Temporary relief from the stress, but maybe superficial.
Because Pierce seems to find something more real with Shiri, right? Which kind of goes against that whole rootless agent idea.
It does. It suggests that maybe that fundamental human need for connection, for meaning, it persists even within these manipulated realities. Maybe total detachment isn't actually the most effective way to operate. Or maybe those connections are vulnerabilities the stasis watches.
Now, something else that complicates things. This idea of an opposition within the stasis.
Yeah, that's a fascinating layer. Even this seemingly all-powerful group isn't unified. There's internal dissent.
What are they opposing?
The excerpts suggest concerns about the stasis's direction. For example, the lack of interstellar expansion is mentioned. Maybe they think the stasis is too focused on Earth's timeline, too limited in its survival strategy.
So there are different ideas about how best to preserve humanity.
Seems like it. And the fact that there's an internal affairs division that uses pretty extreme methods of rewriting timelines, assassination attempts to crush this dissent.
It shows the stasis takes this opposition very seriously.
Absolutely. It highlights that their control isn't perfect, and there are high stakes involved in challenging them. Makes you wonder what other internal conflicts or limitations they might have.
Which really brings us back to the nature of truth and reality in this whole setup. If the stasis is constantly rewriting things,
Then what's real? The text outright says the library is full of lies, full of unhistory,
90% lies, I think it said at one point.
something like that,
Yeah.
which forces Pierce, and us really, to question any recorded knowledge within that system. If history is malleable, if the official record is deliberately falsified.
Oh, how can you know anything? For sure, it's a huge philosophical problem.
A profound epistemological challenge, yeah. What does truth even mean when the past isn't fixed?
And this all seems to funnel down to the individual, to Pierce. Can someone like him actually break free? Can he choose his own path?
That seems to be his central struggle. He's questioning the stasis, maybe getting involved with the opposition, this idea of undoing what they made you do.
It's the classic conflict, isn't it? Control versus freedom. The individual against the massive system.
Exactly. His journey trying to understand his own past, his relationships, his role, it mirrors that larger tension. Can he find agency despite the stasis's power over time itself?
That final scene where he's at a crossroads thinking about his future, it really captures that dilemma. Can he make his own history?
It leaves it open, which is powerful. It's that struggle for individual choice against, well, almost fate itself, embodied by the stasis.
So wrapping up this deep dive into these palimpsest excerpts, we've definitely hit on some big, complex themes.
For sure. The nature of time itself, the power and the danger of controlling history.
The way identity and relationships get tangled up when time and memory are unreliable.
And that fundamental push and pull between, oppressive control and the desire for individual freedom.
And even though it's fiction, these ideas, they feel relevant, don't they? They offer a lens to think about possible futures or just timeless questions about our relationship with time and history.
Absolutely. It's a really potent thought experiment presented through narrative.
Right. Which leads us to our final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about everything we've unpacked, the immense power, the potential pitfalls shown in these excerpts, what aspects of history, memory, and the future do you find most compelling or maybe most concerning?
Given this kind of potential for manipulation on such a grand scale, how important do you think individual choice, individual agency really remains, even when facing forces that seem, well, insurmountable?
Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And hey, if you have sources you think we should tackle next, definitely send them our way.